How's it going, everybody? So I'm back once again, this time with another movie review. This time we're talking about the latest DCEU film, Shazam. Now, before I move on to my thoughts for Shazam, make sure you give this video a like. If you're new here, consider subscribing so you can join in on the discussions, with my earlier movie reviews, trailer reactions, pretty much everything pop culture. But yeah, Shazam was one movie I was really looking forward to. It was one of my highly anticipated films, actually, of the entire year. I just really liked the trailers, and I'm just like a big fan of this kind of story, and just seeing Shazam come to screen. I'm also a sucker for Zachary Levi. It's just like, he's just such a fun, charismatic actor, and David F. Sandberg is a very underrated horror director. If you're not aware, he also directed Lights Out, which is a very underrated horror film, and he also did Annabelle Creation, the Annabelle film that most people actually enjoyed. And it seems like they've had a really good track record, the DC films, with the bringing these horror directors and giving them these big summer blockbuster style films. Because James Wan, who's famous for doing Saw and the Conjuring movies, he did Aquaman. So I guess they have a good track record of giving these horror directors these big summer blockbuster films. And so far, I think it's working. I don't know who they're going to pluck next. I do definitely feel like the film's biggest strength is, of course, Zachary Levi as Shazam. He's just such a fun, charismatic character, just because he steps into that role so perfectly as the young teen who just suddenly gets superpowers, and he just tries to figure out what he can and can't do, and just the infectious personality and the fun charisma he has. It's just like I said, it's infectious. It's one of those, he's one of those characters that you can't help but smile and laugh at when he does stuff, especially with Jack Dylan Grazer's character Freddy. I think he actually steals some scenes, but he's a very good up-and-coming actor. I feel like he's gonna be much more appreciated in this role. It's just him and Zachary Levi have the best chemistry, so I think they actually get some of the best comedic moments. Obviously you've seen in the trailers with the different montages where they're training and seeing what powers Shazam actually has and doesn't have. Those montages are actually some of the funniest moments in the film, because you see some of them in the trailers, but there actually is a whole lot more in the film, which some of them are actually downright hilarious. I was just busting my gut laughing just throughout the whole movie. Actually, it's not just them. The comedy overall is very strong in this. I mean, some of it is a little overly hokey, slapsticky, so not every single joke lands, but I'd say probably about 95% of them land, so you're gonna be laughing throughout. Asher Angel did a really great job as Billy Batson as well. He definitely gets more of the dramatic side of the story, and I really wasn't expecting that going in. I thought it may be a little bit juggled, but I actually really like the dramatic side of this, his backstory and actually getting to know his character in this origin story. I really wasn't expecting it to be almost really as sad as it was, because it actually gets kind of really dark and sad at one point where I actually really felt bad for him just because of what transpires. But yeah, I really was impressed because he actually shows a lot of range, because he really pulls off those dramatic punches, and he also, has some really good fun character moments with Jack Dylan Grazer. So yeah, I was really impressed by him. I've never seen him in anything before, so I hope he goes on to be in more things. He was actually very impressive. Now, Dr. Savannah, played by Mark Strong, I've always really liked Mark Strong as an actor. I've always really liked him in these small roles in previous films, such as Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, of course, the Kingsman films, and I even really liked him as Sinestro in the Green Lantern film. He was actually one of the very few things I did enjoy about that film. He's always just been that guy. I've always really enjoyed him in very many movies, but it's so cool to see him actually get a villain role. I actually really liked him as Dr. Savannah. I thought he was a very intimidating, menacing foe. Overall, he doesn't get a huge amount of screen time, but he does get well developed, and he's not overly hokey. He does get some hokey, kind of cheesy dialogue, which is expected with his banter with Zachary Levi as Shazam, and it actually works pretty well. I actually wish he was in it a little bit more, because he's in it sporadically, but I actually wanted a little bit more of a connection between him and Shazam, but I don't really feel like I got that here. You'll see what I mean when you see the film, probably. It's just I felt like there needed to be more of a connection between the two. But just compared to obviously Zod and Superman, obviously of course is King Orm and Aquaman. It just I didn't feel that big of a connection between them as the other DCEU films with their superheroes and their villains. As far as negatives go, I did think the CGI was very spotty at times. Sometimes it was really great, and there was sometimes, and especially in the bigger fight scenes, where it was very clear that it was a very badly done CGI effect or obvious green screen. It didn't take me out of the movie whatsoever, but it was definitely very noticeable. I really think it's one of those things where, especially with characters that fly, I think that DC has not done a very good job with their CGI when it comes to these crazy characters that can fly through cities and stuff like that. It's just one of those things that's really bothered me, because all the other films, they don't really do as bad with the CGI. It just seems like, Man of Steel sometimes it wasn't the greatest with CGI, and this one, and Batman v Superman wasn't the greatest. It's just flying characters. Things that fly, I think DCEU doesn't really do very good with CGI. But Overall, I had a blast with Shazam. I thought it was a very fun film. If you're expecting that kind of light, fun-hearted tone from the trailers, you're definitely going to get that. And I actually think it exceeds that from the trailers. I mean, I had a fun time. I was laughing, enjoying, cheering on the characters the whole time. It's just such a fun film. I was really, really happy when I left the theater with this. It's one of those rare times early on in the year where I've actually left the theater, like, very satisfied. I think you'll leave the theater very satisfied. Also, make sure you stay for the credits. There are 2 end credit scenes. One of them actually sets up the sequel to Shazam, which I'm definitely curious about. Like, I'm not, like, big on Shazam villains, but I'm definitely intrigued with what they're gonna set up for the sequel. But those are just my thoughts on Shazam. Leave a comment below what you thought of the film when you check it out. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you looking forward to Shazam? Let's get a discussion going in the comments below. But thank you so much for checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with our movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.